What's the secret to developing control of emotions? The answer is a bit of a paradox, and it starts by understanding a little bit more about what emotions really are and dispelling one of the biggest myths that gets in the way of developing control of your emotions. Many people think about emotions as something that just randomly happens, that they come out of the blue like some storm and lightning strikes and we move into reaction. And we've almost all been told that there's some emotions that are negative and some emotions that are positive.
I don't want any negative emotions.
I don't understand.
And that we want to be happy and we don't want to be sad.
No, I only want the positive ones.
But there's a bias in that, and it's a bias built on a fundamental misunderstanding of what emotions really are. So what are emotions? They're automatic neurobiological signals to help us adapt to opportunities and threats. In other words, they're little nudges to help us pay attention to what matters. Emotions are not something that we are. Emotions are something that we experience. And we experience emotions because they're signals that are there to help us survive and thrive. It's part of the way our brains are built and the way our brains work as social animals to help us adapt and work with others. As we stop thinking about emotions as negative and positive, and instead start thinking about them as something we're experiencing in order to give us perspective and help us figure out our way through a challenge, all of a sudden the view of emotions begins to shift, and it starts to become much more clear that the secret to developing control of emotions is actually feeling them more, not less. Let me give you a metaphor. When I was young, my stepdad had a little challenge with parking tickets.
Sir, we're at the Beverly Hills Police Department. Are you Mr. Sidney Bernstein?
Yes, lucky guess.
Well, sir, you have 25 unpaid parking tickets. We have a warrant for your arrest.
What? No!
He would get a parking ticket, and he would put it on a pile on his desk, where unfortunately there were quite a few other parking tickets, and he would ignore it. And then he'd think, oh, I have to take care of these, and he'd get them organized, and maybe he'd put them in a box so he didn't have to look at it.
I have unpaid parking tickets.
Controlling them. And then he'd start getting notices that said, your parking ticket is overdue, and now there's an added fee. And he'd go, I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to control it. He'd stick it in that box. And then he'd get another notice that said, your parking ticket is way overdue. Now you have a $100 fine, plus the late fee, plus the parking ticket. And guess what he'd do? Put it in the box. Pretty soon, he would get orders for court appearances. And he actually had thousands and thousands of dollars worth of fines and parking tickets that he had to pay. We might say that the problem was all of those parking tickets and fines. People kept asking him to take care of that. And we might say, oh yeah, you should control that because it's a problem. But if he had just gone back to the very beginning and put 25 cents in the parking meter, he wouldn't have gotten the ticket in the first place. In other words, if he had tuned into the need, if he had paid attention to what was going on, way at the beginning of this chain, he could have avoided all of these challenges and complexities that kept piling up. This is what happens with our feelings. When we feel something, it's a message from us to us. And if we say, oh, I don't have time for that, or that's a negative feeling, or I shouldn't feel that, we put it in the box. And then the situation continues. And we get another emotional message saying, you're not paying attention. This is a problem. Look at it. We say, no, I don't want to feel that. Let me put it in the box. And pretty soon, it's really hard to deal with. But the solution to developing control of our emotions is not to stick more things in the box. The solution is to put the 25 cents in the parking meter. The solution is to notice the feeling when it's small, before it starts mounting up and getting complicated and difficult, and just tuning in and saying, oh, that's interesting. Oh, this feeling is giving me a nudge. At a neurobiological level, that's what feelings are. They're these little nudges that help us say, there's a problem. There's an opportunity. Pay attention. If you want to develop more control over your feelings, the solution, feel more. Feel earlier. Tune up that detector. Learn how to put the 25 cents in the parking meter, which means feeling your feelings when they're small. And you'll find that that box on your desk doesn't get so overwhelming. Now it's your turn. How will you develop control of emotions?